recorded. Okay. To make it larger, there's a diagonal two-pointed arrow somewhere in the top right-hand corner. If you click on this, it will enable you to view your session full screen. In the top right-hand corner, you'll also find a tab, or it may already be listed. You'll have a list of participants, and below that, the chat screen. I'm going to ask that you please type any and all questions or comments using the chat function during the presentation. And for your information, the chat is public and will be recorded, so this will be included in the archived version of the presentation. And finally, in a WebEx, background noise is a huge distraction. I need to ask all of you to mute your telephone, headset, or microphone. Welcome to our first Faculty Growth and Evaluation WebEx session for faculty. My name is Allison Rhodes, and I am an Academic Improvement Specialist with System Academics. Just so you know, these sessions will be hosted monthly and will be 1 hour via WebEx. Please feel free to remind your colleagues that could not be here today that they have the ability to listen to any of the archived sessions, and we are tracking participation. Again, I'm going to introduce today's presenter. Bob is an educational technologist and instructional designer for System Academics. In his previous roles at Poron and online campuses, Bob brings an abundance of knowledge and enthusiasm for student engagement and teaching technology. And he has been kind to agree to present this session today. So, Bob, you are all set to go.
So, Allison, I'm just going to double check that you can hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. And double checking that you can see my Blackboard screen.
Yes.
Well, thanks, Allison, for the introduction. Hello and welcome everybody participating in today's P session, filling in the gaps of some Blackboard here as we enter week 3 of the fall quarter here. What we'll be talking about today is the 4 professional standards of Blackboard usage, and an attempt to fill in some of the gaps that you may have. There's going to be plenty of time for questions at the end, along with throughout the session. As Allison mentioned, as I'm explaining things, if something pops up, go ahead and put it in that little chat box in the bottom right corner there of your screen, and we will answer those as we go forward. Specifically, the 4 professional standards of Blackboard, that is discussion board, the center, the assignment link, and communication. So those are 4 things that we're going to talk about. So what I say, the board is really a community forum. So it is public. Anything that gets posted in the discussion board is seen by all of the students in the class and by the faculty. So it's like a chat board. The grade center is a way to record, house, and communicate grades, as well as provide feedback to your students. Link is the digital Dropbox for homework submission. And when we're talking about that 4th professional standard, there's different ways that we have to communicate with our students. The idea here is that we want to keep our students in the loop of what's going on in class and anything that may be changing as we go forward with the class. We may have to change something. We may have to let them know about something. So communication is very important. So those are the 4 professional standards. And they are. So why do we use these particular ones that we're discussing today? First of all of them support Baker's mission. Support the AIM initiative, or the Academic Improvement Model Initiative. All of you have been through training in one format or another. Also a Lean Six Sigma quality improvement project that's going on right now. And part of a quality improvement Lean Six Sigma project is gather the voice of the customer, which is essentially a survey or surveys that have been done to determine the customer what that they're looking for. So we looked at, we surveyed all kinds of faculty to find what is it at minimum level, so for professional standards of using the foundational principles of Blackboard, what is it that we think all faculty need to be engaging with regarding Blackboard with students, and so that's where they come from. So we're going to go into some demonstrations. I told you what the four are and using them. Now it's all about how we're going to use them. So at this point, we're going to talk about demonstration of all of these individual items, and I'm going to open up a test shell here. Forward. I'm going to talk about is the discussion board. We'll do a little discussion board demo here. The discussion board is one of the boxes, or sometimes they're not in a button like we have on the screen here. It might be the word discussion board.
Okay.
So you'll click on that and launch that from the side.
Okay.
And it gives you the ability to
Okay. Talk to you soon. Bye.
create a forum and actually use that forum to have the discussion. So if this is the first time you're opening discussion board in the class, this is all going to be blank down here. You're going to have all these things that I have in this test class. So I'm going to show you how to create a forum. So I've done create forum. Then to give me this particular window here, and there's to it, part 1, part 2, part 3, and so forth. I'll talk about those as we go. And that you see this orange looking asterisk in any area of Blackboard. It means this is a required spot, the required field. So you have to put something in here or Blackboard will not allow you to move off of the screen and move on to other things. So in this particular case in your world, I might just do something as simple as, week 1. Create individual discussion board for each of the 10 weeks in my class. And then to give it some type of descriptor. I say this is the public forum for this course, what have you. What it is that you think you need to put in here as a descriptor to identify the purpose for this forum. In 2, you have forum availability. That's going to be to yes. How is it possible that you could set up all 10 of your forums at the same time and then release them based on date and time? You do that, you always have to make sure that you have the yes check, but I could come down here and say, I'd like this to open a week from today. So I'll put the date of the 21st, essentially tonight, that's going to open. I can also decide that it's going to come at a particular point, or in other words, be unavailable to students in this class. I don't have to do that. I can do my discussion boards 1 week at a time. I can do all 10 of them at the same time and have them all open and just not have anything in there from a point of view for to do. Down area 3 is the forum settings. And generally, there's not much that you have to do. You really can just go down and hit submit and you're done and you've created this board. However, some of you may want to take advantage of some of the other features here, like using a graded discussion. And we're not specifically going to talk about that today. We'll identify that this particular discussion board is going to be graded and give it a set of points. We're not going to do that today as part of our training. There are some tutorials and some support that I'll be referring to at the end of this session that will give some of that additional background. So at this point, we've done everything we need to do. We come down here and hit submit. And we created this discussion board. So just so you know, is as you add discussion boards, they're going to show up at the bottom of your list. So I'm going to drag this all the way up to the top, or close out up here. And I'll do is drag and release when it gets to the spot where you need it to be. So one of the things that's important once you create a discussion board is you need to show the students that this particular board is live and it's active. The best way to do that is to create a first or an opening thread. So in the first post. So you're going to create thread, and you have this little orange asterisk here, which means we need to actually put something in the subject box or it's not going to allow us to move forward. So it would be something like a welcome. We ask a question. This up to, hey, welcome to week 1. I'm your instructor. Please introduce yourself to the class. A number of different things that you can do in this particular spot. What that information is that you're going to put here, you have a set of toolbars, if you will, a text editor, which has these 3 lines. Before you go in here, yours may actually look like that. What you have to do is go over to the right-hand side and click on that drop-down chevron. It changes to the upward pointing, and you have 3 lines of text editor. This goes to things like bold, italicized, underline. You can actually do hyperlinks. You can record videos, attach files, video, audio, all that thing. So soon we have everything that we need to do. We could also attach things, as I said, a file from my computer or from the content collection, which is the My Files tab up here. Everything is the way we need it to be. We just hit submit. This particular post, we've opened this discussion board and we've created the first. I and pull up a here. A discussion board post. So in case we're asking a question. So we'll talk about best practices for discussion board posting. It's an opportunity to spread out the learning in course using Blackboard outside of that one night a week we have the students in class. So there are actually 3 components or practices of Blackboard. The first is pushing content. This adds something new beyond the text. So you add an attachment in there, maybe a document that if you were face-to-face situation, you might hand this thing out. Something new, maybe the particular content that you're covering this week, there could potentially be something that, maybe the book didn't go into as much detail as you would want, and you want them to go further. So in this case, we're talking about the subject is assessment. How do you know your strategy is working? And so the instructor has posted, we have had the opportunity to discuss a wide variety of instructional strategies over the past 2 weeks. What comes the essential question to follow implementation is how do we know if our strategy had the desired effect on learning? And so ask the students, how do you know your instruction is effective? So notice that this is not a yes or no. It's an id question. Maybe we're going to do a little reflection. You could do something here that may requires them to voice their opinion and then up or justify in their own words. Maybe an exploration type of a thing where you ask them to go out and find some information and bring it back. So example of a discussion board post. Talk about the other 2 to that. Best practices. The second is practical application. So things like examples or current events or professional experiences, maybe something you would like to share that happened in your workday related to the content for this particular week that you like to engage your students with. So how does it relate? Maybe you want to see how it relates across other courses that the student has had. If you're teaching 2, let's say, in a series of classes, may relate it back to class 1 and some of the knowledge that they gained in class 1. And third best practice is called writing discussion. So this is where you'll elaborate, you'll correct misconceptions, redirect maybe a conversation happening on the board between you and the students in your class. Or you ask some probing questions. So here's an example here. You're a United States Senator appointed to a committee charged with revising the Federal Reserve. And so some parameters here that the students have to read and work through. And then it says, assume the public interest model holds here. Should you work to support or reject this bill and why. So it's going to allow the student to do a little critical thinking. Again, here's an example of an answer that a student posts. And you can see it's not a very short yes, no. There's some quality here. They have to voice their own opinion. They have to go look some stuff up, have to elaborate. It gives you the ability to maybe bounce back and forth and ask them a follow-up question. Just saying, get a little bit deeper in their end. Some examples here of some screenshots, and I talked about the 3 best practices: the pushing content, the practical application, and the discussion. At this particular point, I'd like to pause to see if you have any questions, Allison.
At this point.
Okay. So we move on then to the second item of our Blackboard professional standards, and that's the grade center. Also along this left-hand side, beyond the buttons or tool links here, if you scroll a little further, you'll see this area down here in the course management part of your course, and this item right here called Grade Center. So you hit the little here and up, or you can click on it and it'll open up, and it gives you 2 choices. The needing is not something we're specifically going to talk about today, but the reality of that is if you have 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and you'd like to see, is anybody turning anything in that needs my attention right away? You can just click on Needs Graded, and it'll pop up any assignment that the student submitted to the grade book that is waiting for your attention. In other words, you have not graded it yet. You have not put a score in or provided any feedback. But we're going to the full grade center, which pulls up all of the columns. So they're always going to look a little bit different, depending on your particular class, the types of assignments, and so forth. So itself will have columns. If you have any type of class that's been created to any degree, say a UBD class or what have you, the class grade center could be anywhere from partially completed to totally completed for you. But in a lot of ways, you end up getting a blank shell for Blackboard. If anything, it's not any course that's been touched. It's basically the blank master. And so I'll tell you and show you how you go in and create those particular columns. Before that, I want to kind of talk a little bit about the layout here. You'll have students' names on the left side. There are other columns here like username, date availability, last time they attended, any of that type of thing. The ability to hide things, open. I just bring it back if I'd like to, but maybe I just want their first name, last name, their tour, individual columns. If I have to build my own or I have to add something to an already existing grade center, I need up to this spot here where it says Create Column. Is that you're generally going to go to when you want to do some work besides the actual grade center itself is going to be to create column, which I'm going to show you now, and the managed area over here. So we're column, and we're going to create a grade column for a particular assignment. So here's our asterisk. That means we must give this a name. A name, and whatever I listed here is what it's generally going to show, unless we change it in the second box, is what's going to show in the grade center. So think as you're building the name, students are going to go into the grade center and they're going to try to look at how to do on a particular assignment. So whatever name you give this particular column should be representative. If you have a reflection assignment every week or a discussion board assignment every week, you don't want to type in discussion board. You're going to a little more. Reflection week 1, discussion board week 7. They're all going to run together, and you and your students are going to get confused on which one is which. Again, you have your dialog box here, your text editor with your 3 lines, your 3 toolbars, various tools that you have. So you can do all kinds of things in this spot again, just like you could in the discussion board. there is anything that you have to type in this particular box at all, you can move down. The on primary display is always going to be score. You do have other choices. Score is the most common. Do anything on a secondary display. And area here to do anything there. The only other thing that you have to do, and again, because of the asterisk, is to put a particular assignment. Enter. Do anything with dates. I don't have to do anything with options if I don't want to. At this particular point, I've created this column. I'm going to hit submit. And no, don't panic if you don't see it here. Every time you add a new column, just like when you add a new discussion board, it moves it all the way to the end. Where we want it, but not where we want it. Just to the next part of the Grade Center that we're going to use, and that's the manager area. Mouse on top of that manage button, I get this drop-down menu. What I want to go is to column organization. So column organization, I get all of these things, and this is practice class, so there's tons of stuff in here. You wouldn't have anywhere near this. We have all of these columns in this particular center. If I get to the bottom, here's that week 10 reflection, and let's say I want to move that up to another spot. This is not the right spot for it, and it makes sense for you and your students to kind of have things in order from left to right that they assigned and submitted in the class. So all I do is I'm going to hover my mouse until I kind of get this four-road star here, and click and drag, and I'm just going to move this thing up to where I feel it needs to be. Let's say I think it's good right there, and then I'm going to release, and so there's week 10 reflection. It moves up from the bottom to this particular spot. If I move it up or down, I do the same thing again. Once done, you have a column where you want to, you're going to submit. And so the column, and it's going to be here somewhere, wherever I ended up moving it. I'm probably not going to find it really easy because there's a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, here we go, right here. So that's just to grading of the columns. I'm going to get all the way back over here to the beginning. When you actually grade, you have two places that you can go. If you're just putting a score in, you here and you can enter a score. Tab over, and that locks the score in. Notice that it totals everything for you once you put the points in. You then go to this little chevron right here. For more options, you get yourself a comment box to type feedback to the user. Get yourself some more. Actually, let's do it this way. I'm going to go to the second person. Rather than putting in the score, I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to hit View Grade Details, which opens up everything. I still get those same boxes. These are actually a little nicer because they're the regular text tools from my editor, which gives me a spell check, which is kind of nice. I have access to all those different things, and I can put the score in here, and then hit and the Grade Center, and I'm done. Just describe these two boxes for you. Feedback to user. This is that anything you type in here, reading information you want to give your students for the feedback, maybe some helpful corrections for the next time. Maybe talk to them about what they did well, what they didn't do so well, areas for improvement, what have you. Any stuff that you type in here or any other way that you do it, maybe a file attachment, video feedback, what have you, need to go in this feedback to user box. The gray node box is FYI for you. You, instructor, are the only one to see this. So this is just notes you want to leave yourself as a reminder for later on in the course. You put in here, the student will not be able to see, not where you actually want to type something. And the last item in the Grade Center for my next demo, because it'll make a little bit more sense there, and that is occasionally you see this symbol in your Grade Center. This size that this particular column, this WebEx reflection, as an assignment was submitted, there is a file link that needs to be graded. We're going to get to that in a second when we talk about assignment length. Pause at this point. Anybody has any questions about the Grade Center?
We have no typed questions, then.
Just to remind everybody again, I'm getting a little feedback on this end, so if everybody could double check that they have their phones or headsets on mute, that'd be great. Assignment link. Assignment link is the third professional standard that we're going to talk about today. And so the assignment link is a digital Dropbox for students to submit homework. So you generally go into your weekly folder if you're face-to-face faculty, and ours is for the online faculty. So I'm figure out where this assignment needs to be submitted, and you have to create at least one assignment link for 10 weeks in the course. You can do more, but the minimum requirement is for you to do one. So let's say I'm going to go into seminar 2 or week 2 in your case to create this assignment link. Add some things. Most of the time it's content. That's this particular area here, and you see these items and files and folders and whatever. For this particular item that we're talking about, the assignment link is actually listed under the assessments down. So see this third item down here, this is the assignment link button. Assignment link button. We got a name. Either box is the instruction area. So this might be where I say week 3 and points 100, and then I would put some instructions in here. The instructions could be a Word document that I'll attach, or be typed instructions. What those things happen to be, that would talk about the deliverables and anything that the student needs to know in order to work the assignment. Now, one of those orange asterisks, remember I said that means you must enter something. In this particular case, we're putting in the score. So it doesn't matter that I put the score here. We want the score to be linked to the grade book. So in order to do that, I have to come down here and put 1 in the tab or enter off of that, and it locks that point total in. Now,
Bob, if it's a UBD course, are the assignments already posted?
Correct. Links would already be done for you in a UBD course, but in a face-to-face UBD course, just something like 600 points that are assigned, you would have up to 400 additional points. So there may be a situation where there's an assignment that you're going to add, or multiple assignments that you're going to add to the class, that can then go in and create an assignment link for those and have students post that into the assignment link that you create.
So if you total it up to, say, 1,000, then that's where you'd put your additional postings.
At the point, there's a tutorial I'll talk about at the end. If you feel like you want to a clickable rubric and add a rubric at this particular point, you could do that. That's not part of today's training. Anything else that I have to do in this spot, so I hit submit. And I'll created, again, we do something new, right? It shows up at the bottom. So here's here, research project week 3. And what the student is going to do then is they're actually going to click on this link. The instructions that they will have in the assignment is to click on this title. So click on assignment title. So that I tell them. Finish your work, please click on the assignment title and attach your file. I'm going to click on that, and then, depending on what it is, type the information in here, copy and paste it, or then browse their computer and attach their file and hit submit. So that's assignment link. Now, before we go on to the last one, I do want to go back to the Grade Center because I want to show you on your end what it looks like. This item here, you saw this a few minutes ago when I was talking about the Grade Center. What this sign means right here, this exclamation point and kind of like this gold circle, means this is an assignment link submission that's your attention. So in this case, this thing needs to be graded. So the best way to get access to this is to go over to this little drop-down chevron and get View Grade Details. So what's going to do is that's going to take you inside the Grade Center for this particular student. This column that you're working in here, the WebEx reflection assignment, points is the total. You have information on when this was created and submitted. And so you click on View Attempt, and the actual item is going to load right here in front of you. This is called inline grading. So this particular assignment, in this case, happens to be just a Word document that I threw in here for examples. And our instructional tutorials that are out there on the site that I'm going to show you how you can do things like insert comments and highlight various things and draw and all stuff that you normally do when you grade. So now can you do that on the paper itself with that grader feedback right here. And want to do something a little bit more adventurous and want to do something like video feedback. If you come down here and click on this A, you have to get that toolbox that we were talking about before, that full feline set of toolboxes, writing you can add anything that you want to do there. That's your text editor. The thing I have to do is put in the score. So let's say this particular student gets a 27 out of 30. I have the ability to give him or her some feedback in this area here. I do have spell check that I can do. Add a already built in what's called a clickable rubric. Talked about briefly on that other page. There would be another box right here. And you can add it and it would open up the rubric right here on the screen. So you'll be able to see their work, plus the rubric, click those individual rubric categories for scoring, and it would total everything for you. You're done. You have the score and your comments in. You just hit submit. Return to the Grade Center. And now that exclamation point has been removed, and the score there. Students access their information through Student Tools and My Grades that I'll talk about in a minute. So that assignment link demo. Any questions on the assignment link demo?
Typed in.
Move on to the fourth and last item of our Blackboard Professional Standards.
Before you move on, if no one else is going to ask, could I ask again, just quickly show me how I put the rubrics right next to the student's paper?
I can do that with you offline. That's not really part of what we're going to do, but I will show you at the very end.
Not a problem.
The rubric tool, we already have a tutorial created for it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
But yeah, that's actually, it really makes it easy once, if you have those already built and you kind of align them right to the assignment, it really makes it easy for grading. So you can always talk about that after. Okay, the thing we're going to do is talk about communication. As I said, there's a number of different ways that you can communicate with your students. One of the ways is through Student Tools. Students up this big thing, and normally we don't go in here ourselves as faculty. This is where our students go for all kinds of different things. As you see, access to all kinds of different things. But the thing that I come in here to do sometimes is this item right here that says Send Email. Click on Send Email, I get a bunch of choices. I can email all the users in the class. If I put students in groups, I have the ability to do that. Or down here and select single users. So just as it describes underneath each of these, it tells you what you would use it for. If there was two students that I wanted to send something to, and I have to do is single user, I list of everybody who's in my class, along with myself. Notice I'm here as well, too. But choose a student, and a little arrow pointing to the right, and it moves them over to this side. I want to share with a couple of students. I told her, let's say I decide, oh, Mandy, that's wrong. She's not one of the people. I just move Mandy back. Maybe need Barb student either. So maybe Ann is the only one that I need to send this message to. And now we're just constructing an email. I give it a message. I can also attach a file, and I go to submit. One of the things about communicating with your students this way is we just got a copy of this particular email that I sent to one, more than one, or all of my students by Baker College email. So I only have a copy of this. So some issue with maybe some communication with students, they're struggling in course, they have some personal problems to talk about or what have you, and you got a little communication going back and forth. If you really go through the student tools area and send an email, you will always have a copy of everything that you send. So in case you need to have a document trail later on, that's not a bad way to go. Communicate with students, and I recommend you do this at least at the beginning of every class, and that is to create an announcement. Here's in this test class here, something that you can kind of list in the class that kind of gives them, hey, here we are. Well, this is the class. This is about. This is who I am, and kind of walk them through what next. Start here. So talk about what they need to do over here in the class. Maybe you want to tell them to go to course information, and then out your information, and then to the discussion board, or go to the week folders, what have you. What is it that you feel would be valuable to let the students know what they could do in the class? So here's an example one here. Particular class, so it's Welcome to Finance 325. This is Commission of the 6th week. This is one from an online course. Talk about, please take some time to familiarize yourself with the class layout. Each link on the left will navigate you to a different materials and tools and so forth. So we're referring to that menu that's over here to the side. So next, click on the seminars. Inside the folder, everything you need to know related to the first week of class. Then briefly introduce yourself, and then finally click on the discussion board, because that's where all the work takes place. And here's one more I wanted to show you. This one. This is what, since fall started, fall of 2014, for those of you that are not teaching a UBD design course and you're getting the blank master shell, many of you may have seen this, or this is at least what's in shells going forward, where basically we already created an announcement for you in instructional design. And so you just need to go in here and edit this particular screen and search your course name and ID and put your name, the date, and the contact information for yourself, and then we just square it away. Some examples of some announcements. The thing is, there is usually in the instructor resources folder, if you do a UBD class, you get those shells. There's some instructions in here about your syllabus and assignment summary. I think going to be for winter, they're going to be putting that in the blank master shells too, for those of you getting access to a Blackboard shell. But from what I've been told, you have been kind of doing this automated syllabus builder process for a couple years, so you guys already know how to do that. But another method of some good communication is to make sure that the syllabus, I believe it's a PDF, if I've been told correctly, comes out of that syllabus builder process on campus. You can go in and add it into course information as another way to communicate with your students. Here's syllabus, and you want to edit, and then, whoops, I didn't have to edit that one. That's actually what I want. So I'm going to click on it to open it, where they would go and get that particular syllabus. You would just add your attachments that got from the syllabus builder at this particular point. So just 3 ways to communicate with your students: the announcements, your syllabus, and then using student tools to be in an email out. I have a tendency a couple of days before the quarter starts, I'll do an email to all of my students. So I'll go to send email, select users or all student users, and then I'll create an email that says, Welcome to Finance 101. I'm your instructor. Just wanted to let you know classes start Monday, and then everybody will get that email. So that's just another way to communicate. Questions on the communication demo?
One.
I want to use two resources. I've talked about the fact that there's always, you go to one of these things, they do happen awful quick. You're getting a bunch of information, and sometimes there isn't always either you don't have the question at that time, or think about it later, or when you're actually trying to do this work on your own, some additional help and some support. So let me show you two places that you can actually do that. The first is off of our regular Baker website. If you go over here to My Baker, once in, right? This area, you can get it in places. You can get it down here, or you can get it over the left-hand side here under Home. But you have Web Applications. And this top one here that says Employee Departments, Academics, ET&L, that's actually what we want. That's Effective Teaching and Learning. And the Effective Teaching and Learning are right here. Development. Blackboard Professional Requirements, which is actually what we're talking about today. And I put together some really good information here. We have our mission and our guiding principles. And all of these items here with this little dot next to it, these are hyperlinked to Blackboard's official site for tutorials. So all the things that we talked about today, announcements, assignment links, discussion board, grade center, so forth. Here's the email one down here. So things that we talked about today, using rubrics. Ken, I think you were the one that asked the rubric question. So there's a tutorial on the rubrics right here. And again, I can help you one-on-one if you get to the point. But it's one spot where you can get access to some tools that can help you out kind of just in resources. These are available 365, 24/7 because they're on our website. And I've got one last one, and that is Tech and Resources page. Go to guides.baker.edu/edtech. This particular site was put together by myself and my team. This is basically a research guide that actually built resources that we've created to help you. And there's stuff on here other than Blackboard. If you're just looking to maybe do something with a discussion board, to do a compare and contrast assignment, to case study, what have you, there's going to be some information in here that's going to help you. There's some tabs here along the top. Limited resources is that kind of a nice one. There's ebooks here, some information. These are the two guys that started the flipped concept here. So it's a nice little book here. Probably can read it in one afternoon in about an hour or so. If you want to get a background there and you're starting to do some of that stuff in your class. But I want to show you this tutorial tab. The tutorial tab, once you click on that, opens up to this blog that we created that has all kinds of different tutorials here. These video tutorials, there's probably over 60 of them at last count. We do a new one every week. Time editing. And they're all tagged, so they're clickable by label over here. So if you're looking to do, let's say, case study, critical thinking, compare and contrast, concept formation, didactic questioning, all you have to do is click on these labels over here right side, and it will take you to whatever tutorials we have created regarding that. What's nice is that we have them identified and linked to levels of Bloom. So if you're looking for, I want to do an application with something, you're looking for Bloom's level 3. So tied to the instructional strategies that are on the ETL website, and we have them also tagged to Bloom's level of taxonomy. And for a number of them, we actually have other links to take you to some other spots where you watch this tutorial and it's not really what you need, but you'd like to maybe get something else or access to something different. There's all kinds of things in that you might find somebody with. So those are the two spots. I did want to show you that. And again, that's the .edu and that /edtech. There, and that was the tutorial tab that I went into. So that's really all. Really all I have to talk about the show. Yes.
Somebody asked if you would take them back through and show them again how to get to the ET&L page.
Absolutely. Let me go back. Let me go all the way back out to the beginning Baker website here. So just that's my Baker. So website into my Baker. And I can hit either web applications here, or I can come down and hit web applications here. It opens up with the drop-down links. You want the first one, which is the academic ETL. Okay, employee departments. I'm going to click that. Effective teaching and learning, which is what ETL is. Professional, Blackboard professional requirements. Questions, thoughts, concerns?
Hey. Finding your incorporation of Blackboard with your classes. Some of you have used it before, some may be brand new to it. What are you finding so far?
Would putting a group together on Blackboard be appropriate for today, or is that another session?
Anything that we have time for today, but there is, whoops, there is actually a tutorial on groups.
Okay, that's
right there. So it's off that Baker site, Ken.
Okay, what's their name for groups? The name that you don't recognize is quick. There's a short abbreviation you're using in Blackboard. I can't right now, but all it means is groups.
Yeah, I don't know if I know exactly what you're asking.
Are you, Mary Simon, are you referring to the F/D groups? Which are the way to the shortcut to groups? Is that what you're looking for?
I
don't know. Ken, does that make sense?
It's just another name for groups. I was talking to Tammy about it once. I asked her what it meant. And so it doesn't matter. I'll go back and go over the tutorial on group. I'll be fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Additional questions? Okay, we have no more questions. I'd like to thank everybody for attending. We do have another session next week, and you would have received that session to get registered for that one as well, but it will be next Wednesday, I believe. So feel free if you'd like to join to get registered for that session. We will be doing these sessions every month, so feel free to register and get logged in. Thank you for your participation today.